We'll talk about that.
It's quite poor. Hello, everybody. This is the Sinners Review podcast, part 3 of podcast 4. I'm Ian. This is Jason, and we're doing the best 10 album covers in our opinion, to a point.
Just our opinion.
Our opinion, yeah. Other opinions
Some
are perfectly
ones that we own and that mean something to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And actually, if this is the first video you've seen, click down below and go and look at video 1 first, because we're actually at the last two, our 2 number 1s. So you've missed most of it.
Are we podcast 5? Is this our 5th? You said 4. Is it 4 or 5?
Is it 5?
I think we're 5. We made it to 5.
No, yeah, 5 podcasts. Yeah, exactly.
I think it is.
And we are still looking for Cinnamon Bun sponsorship if anybody's interested. Although you don't really eat cinnamon buns, do you?
No, I don't eat buns generally. I've got a sweet tooth, but I'm more of a just woof a chocolate bar down than a bun or a cake.
We're looking for chocolate and cinnamon bun sponsorships, right? Okay, so it's your number 1.
My final one. Okay.
Your final one.
A little plug. I have put the Ramshackle.
Yeah,
Who's
good
keeping
album.
the lights together on here? Good album released on Sinners Music.
Yeah,
in March.
Available on CD and on download. It's a brilliant album. Go buy it.
And it's a good cover. It's a
really good cover, actually.
Done by an old friend of mine.
I'm going to say who did the cover, yeah.
Yeah, it's an old friend of mine, Russell Weir. Knew him for years and years and years. He was a sound engineer for us in a former band years and years ago. He did graphic design, freelance graphic design. Threw him some songs, told him the title, and he came up with it. And it's
it's great.
The globe in a light bulb was a nice simple image.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's Russell Weir, R.I.P. Because don't want to bring her down about somebody else that took his own life. Unfortunately,
I think you told me. Yeah, so that's sad, isn't it?
But hey, so my final coming in at number 1, and I think this is what you would define as an iconic cover. It's going back in time from 1979. I would say a week probably doesn't go by without you or I seeing this cover in some form or other. And it's this.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an iconic cover, right?
Absolutely.
So Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures, their debut album, 1979. Do you want to guess on Factory Records, of course? Do you want to guess the number, factory number?
I would say I'm going to go for 10.
Bingo.
Really?
10. Yeah, spot on. Fact 10.
Just before you get onto it, one of the ones that I've never owned this album, but the return of the Giretti column on Factory Records was this album cover. The first 2,000 were made of sandpaper so that they would rub against the other record covers and wear them out. And I've never seen the original cover. It was designed by I can't remember his name, but Tony Wilson was involved. Tony Wilson, somebody else designed the cover. Now, because I was looking it up, and the album was put together, the covers were put together by Giretti color, which is Vinnie Riley, and his mates, and his mates were Joy Division. So Joy Division actually helped glue together the Giretti column album. But that's my side story. But so go on, tell me. I know it's a great album. I love this album.
You know the origins of the picture itself, right?
So you just remind me, but I think I do. Yes, it's go on.
So it's a stacked plot of radio emissions given out by a pulsar, which is a rotating star. So the image first appeared in 1971. It was originally white on a sky blue background.
Right.
I should have found it and put it on here,
Yeah,
but imagine that on a sky blue background
yeah.
instead. So it was about radio emissions from out in the universe. It was then recreated in black and white as we see it today in a Cambridge Encyclopedia of Astronomy. Barney Sumner was sitting in a library in Manchester. He saw the image. He took it to Peter Saville, who continued to design Joy Division, New Order covers. Peter Saville did loads of things. He worked with OMD. We mentioned them earlier.
Yeah.
He did a Wham album cover. Peter Gabriel, Ultravox, and a little interesting fact: Peter Saville, the designer, he also designed the England football team's home shirt for 2010. Who knew? Never knew that.
Because I know that he did the cover of Blue Monday, didn't he?
Yes, he did most of the.
He delivered it late,
majority.
Apparently, and then they worked out that it cost so much to make that they were losing money on every copy that they sold, which is very Factory Records, really. It's just like, I love it. It's brilliant.
I remember that there's a lot of a lot of Joy Division covers which are iconic. There's Closer, which is the Tomb one.
Yeah,
that came out just after Ian Curtis
died. Yeah,
Peter Saville, Ian Curtis.
Yeah.
There's some New Order ones that are iconic. Low Life, I think, was good. I think the CD cover was like tracing paper. I think so. You had a layer of tracing paper with one member of the album and another layer of tracing paper in the CD. That was
wow.
So they were definitely trying to push the boundaries. But I just think that cover. Look, I'm going to Glastonbury this weekend. I'll count how many times I see.
You'll see,
no doubt,
t-shirts.
I will see a number of T-shirts with that on.
It is great. Sorry, go on.
I do think there probably isn't a week goes by where you see it somewhere.
No. It's a great album, actually. I like both of the Joy Division albums. I've got Joy Division. It's one of the CDs I've got, and it's got a load of them playing live. Live, they weren't a great band, but the way that Martin Hannett produced those two, it's quite stark sounding. But I think it sounds great.
Yeah, it takes you to a place. It's the music.
Yeah.
You listen to the music and you can imagine yourself somewhere it's black and white. It's neo-industrial. It's probably snowing.
Yeah.
And it's the sound as well on those albums. Right? You got Peter Hook playing bass. He's
playing the melody, really, isn't he? He is playing the melody. Yeah.
With a pick, which people didn't really do at that time. You got Duffy on the drums with introducing electronic drums. We know pads and electronic hits. Along with the live drumming. Bernard Sumner's guitar playing in Joy Division. Very kind of echoey and haunting. Great. It still sounds good today. Still sounds great today.
I went to the warehouse. Was it not the warehouse? That was in Leeds. I went to the Hacienda a few times. And I have to say that the nights that I went was not when Manchester was going on. It was before all of that. It was when the drug thing, upstairs was where you went to go and get your drugs. Right. And it was quite a heavy scene at the time. And it was the three times I went, it was empty. It was really, and I kept, because the lights were down, I kept tripping up over the bollards. They've got bollards all the way around the dance floor. If you ever see images of it, and I kept bumping into them when I was going to the bar and things like that. But I'm glad I went at the time. But it felt like a heavy place at the time. It wasn't. There was clearly stuff going on. There was a lot of, drugs and guns, and the guns hadn't started, I don't think, when I went. But I've read Peter Hook's book on how not to run a nightclub, and how things certainly spiraled out of hand.
I saw Peter Hook and The Light. Is it? A couple of times. I saw him at Cheese and Grain probably a couple of years ago, and I saw him in Bournemouth Academy. And it was fantastic. He does again, he's in his 60s.
Yeah.
He's got another guy playing bass. I think it was his son. So he's got another guy doing, let's say, the heavy lifting,
Yeah.
because he sings, he's playing bass, he's playing the lead lines on
Yeah,
his
yeah.
bass that everybody knows. Somebody else is playing the bass as the rhythm section of the band, but he does a quick new order set. So we do Blue Monday.
Yeah.
He does all the hits that you want to hear from New Order. He probably does about, I don't know, 8 songs of New Order. And then the one when I went to see him in Bournemouth, he played Joy Division's 2 albums back to back.
Oh, wow.
And actually, he sings Joy Division really well. It really suits his voice because it's deeper and it's in a lower register.
Yeah.
It suits really well. Hard for him to hit the higher notes from New Order, but really great to see him do that live. Really kind of emotional. It was good to see live. Again, I was just a whippersnapper when Joy Division were around.
Yeah.
So nice to see him recreate it.
I mean, I never really took a lot of notice of Joy Division when they were about. I do remember where I was when I heard on the radio when Ian Curtis died. I was literally sat in my car having my lunch, and I put the news on, on Radio 1. And I was sat by the river in the River Ouse in York in my car having my lunch, and I thought, oh, that's a real shame that that he died. I did see Peter Hook's. He did a band where, was it 3 bass players? A few years ago, he had this. I can't remember what the band was called, and it was a place called Fibbers in York, which is now gone. And I think he was singing there, and I remember thinking, "Hey, it's weird that you've got 3 bass players, but it worked,
Right.
And I really liked Monaco. He was in a duo called Monaco with a girl.
I vaguely remember that.
And I remember buying that. In fact, I've still got. I think they did 2 albums, and I think I've still got them. And that was really, the songs were great in Monaco. So that's but fantastic choice. I'm sure that'll be in the top 100 albums.
That's got to be. It's got to be in your. It's got to be in your book.
Got to be there, hasn't it?
Got to be.
This is one you've probably never seen. So this is an album from the 60s, and this is the Small Faces, Ogden's Nut Gone Flake. You've probably never even heard this, have you?
No.
No.
Ogden's Nut Gone Flake.
It's a really, really, the songs on it are fantastic. It's a concept album, and I won't open the whole thing. Literally, the whole thing opens out. But if I open it that bit, you can see that there's a
Wow.
There's that, and then you open it out even more, and somewhere in the middle of it is the record. It's full of great songs. I mean, it is the 60s. In fact, let me just pull the album out and have a look at what the songs. I don't know what the hits were. I don't think Itchy Coo Park is on there. So no, they've got. There was a guy who did this sort of weird sort of language thing. Stanley, I'm going to say Stanley Baldwin. It's not Stanley somebody or other. I'll find out who he is and put his name up. And he does these little bits in between where he talks in between the tracks in this sort of invented language of his own. And it's telling a story. It's the whole concept album, Happiness Stan. So Stan's the character. But it's full of great songs. Absolutely full of great songs. So you need to listen to it on your Spotify account, because it's worth a listen if nothing else. It's
how did you come across it then? How have you got it in your collection?
Well, it's an original copy as well. So I won't have bought it in the 60s. So I will have bought it. I think because I was listening, growing up, I was listening to things like the Kinks and the Who and all of that, as I said. And the Small Faces were, I mean, I probably bought it because I liked Itchy Coo Park. What I used to do,
that was always around. That was always on in my childhood.
Yeah, and you can still hear it now, can't you? So I would buy. I mean, and I may well have bought it thinking that song was on it, because I would do that a lot. So if I liked a song, I very rarely bought singles. I would only buy a single if there wasn't an album out.
Right.
So I would buy the album of whatever, and sometimes, it's the only decent song on it. Sometimes you get albums where every song is absolutely brilliant, so I would have probably bought it because of Ichiku Park, but Ichiku Park had been 67, so I wasn't old enough, so it would have been early 70s.
Okay.
I may well have actually just seen it, thought that's a really cool cover, and bought it for the cover because it is, and then got it home and suddenly realised that you have to lay it out on a carpet because the things. But it's definitely worth a listen, and it's in fact I haven't listened to it for a while, so tomorrow I'm going to have a proper listen to it. But I've got the CD version again. I've got the CD, so I don't play the vinyl anymore. But
very good.
And that was one of the ones that I always thought I'll always. And when we started thinking about this, I thought, right, I've got to include Ogden's Nut Gone Flake because it really is a classic album with a classic cover, But let's have a look. So, what was your first one? Your first one was
Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac.
Rumours.
Fleetwood Mac is not here.
Ah.
So
I mean, it's not really an iconic cover. I chose it more because it was an iconic album.
yeah.
London Calling, probably.
The Clash. London Calling is here. So that's
is
made
there?
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Primal Scream.
Primal Scream. Primal Scream. Primal Scream are there, but not with that. With Extremery. Can't pronounce it.
Experimenter, I think we let
Experimenter. Yeah.
Really?
So
it is nowhere near as iconic as
I agree with
and
you.
the Joy Division one. That's got to be there.
Joy
Division are probably there twice.
No, it's only there closer. So it's not there for.
That's the Tomb one.
That's the Tomb one. So that's interesting.
Which is a nice album. It's a good album. It's a good cover.
I mean, they're very different from each other, aren't they? But they're. I mean, I have listened to them back to back, but I wouldn't normally do that. But they do sound very different from each other.
Got closer because he was going to be in there, and it was a toss-up. But I mean, the closer album's good. I'm going to step out of the way. It is
so it is
a nice album.
Is the Small Faces there?
I don't think your Ogden's peanut butter or whatever it is going to be there.
It is. It's there.
Is it?
Yeah. Small Faces, Ogden's Nut Gone Flake. So that's a. So what else did I have? I had a Kraftwerk. I know there's a Kraftwerk one here, but it's not this. It's not my album. Kraftwerk is gonna be. Can't see it. There it is. The Man Machine. The Man Machine's an okay, but it's not a classic cover. That's the red and white one with the images of them on it. I mean, it's a good cover, but I wouldn't say it's one of the best 100 covers.
So your 100 covers, does it count down? Is it like counting down from 100 to 1? What's
really.
number one? So they're more alphabetical. Okay.
So what else did you have? What was your other ones?
Oh, the other ones now, that's what I call music just for a laugh.
Yeah, no, that won't be there. Ogden's song, Pink Floyd. Pink is probably...
but it's got to be Dark Side of the Moon. Or the one with those two carved stone heads.
It's Wish You Were Here. So
okay.
That's two for me. That's pretty good. I'm pleased with that. But what was it? I mean, I can tell you now, the Tommy one won't be there, the Who. Yeah, no, they've gone for the Who Sellout. Which is then one peeing up against the Monolith.
Right. Okay.
But and the Tommy, so the Tommy one isn't there. What else did I have? Pepper's got to be there, hasn't it? Beatles.
Yeah, got to be. There's got to be more. It's got to be Abbey Road as well, isn't there?
I mean, I have to say Abbey Road is my... So we've got Yesterday and Today with the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's, but no Abbey Road. Now, Abbey Road is my favourite Beatles album.
That's an iconic album.
It is, yeah. Interestingly, Blondie, not the one I picked. They picked Parallel Lines, which is the one where they're all stood. The band's all smiling, and they're all black and white, and she's not smiling. Now, I do know that I saw a documentary, and they all hated that cover because they're not all together. They've taken different
All
images.
spliced.
They're all spliced together, and they absolutely hated it. The fact that all the band are smiling, and she's frowning. That's not what the band wanted.
Back to the Abbey Road one, right? Still today, I would
Yeah.
say every single day you could go to that area in London.
Yes.
Because it's where the studio is, isn't
Yes.
it? Where the what's the name of the studio? It's gone.
It's
Abbey Road Studios.
Abbey Road,
Abbey Road
yeah.
Studios.
Yeah.
And you will see tourists crossing the road having the picture taken. All the taxi
Absolutely,
drivers are hooting their horn and
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
get out the road.
I know. And because
every single day there's tourists.
people always write on the wall, don't they? And every few months they just paint it over again. Yeah. So I'll just go through some of these. I mean, I've got an album by Add N to X. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
So On the Wires of Our Nerves. I don't know that album. Aphex Twin, Come to Daddy.
I was gonna pick Aphex Twin one, the window licker one, where he's got his face projected onto people. That might be Come to Daddy. Actually, I think his face is superimposed on lots of.
That's a
people.
Chris Cunningham video. That video is bloody scary because I bought a DVD of all Chris Cunningham's work, and obviously all the work that he did with Aphex Twin, and it is a stunning piece of work, but really it's quite scary.
Yeah, no, it is. Early use of AI, you'd almost argue, right?
Yeah. Bjork, Post. It's a great album. Yeah.
Fair. I did hover on a few Bjork ones. But
I used to have Black
didn't make the
Sabbath
cut.
by Black Sabbath. I used to have that album. Blur, Park Life.
Is that the one with the greyhounds on?
Yes. David Bowie. What David Bowie album do you think?
Starman, the one with the makeup on and a zigzag. No?
Diamond Dogs.
Not the one where he's in the street.
No, that's the one where he's a dog. It's a gate.
Okay.
It's the front of it is the front paws of a dog, and the back paw is the back half of the dog. And I know that because I didn't own Diamond Dogs, but I had a mate, and he had the original cover, and the dog had genitals in the original one, which they eventually replaced with the sort of airbrushed the genitals out, really.
So let me throw a couple at you because we're going to need to make time for Ask Ian anything. Because I've got a good question to ask you.
Yeah.
So are the Smiths there?
The Smiths, yes, it must be.
I remember I bought the 12-inch. What difference does it make? It was the one with Terence stamp on. It always had those kind of 60s icons on the cover.
No, it's the
Meat is
World
Murder there, or?
No, it's The World Won't Listen.
Okay.
Now, my choice would be The Queen is Dead.
Mm.
That's the Smiths album that I really like. Springsteen's Born to Run. The cover's not great on Born to Run, I never thought. I always preferred Darkness on the Edge of Town for Springsteen. Underworld. It's Dub No Bass. Yeah.
I mean, that's a class album. If we did top 5 albums, that's in my top 5.
Yeah.
Blew my mind when that came out.
Massive Attack.
Protection.
Mezzanine.
Okay, that's the black and white one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Human League.
Dare.
Yeah, it doesn't. I've got Dare, and it doesn't survive very well. It is very much of its time, more than any other sort of synth pop band. It does.
The League
sound,
Unlimited orchestra version is better.
Brilliant. I still have that on vinyl.
Yeah, that's
I didn't buy Dare when it came out. I bought it on CD, but I've got that because I loved that album and still do love that album. That's the better album. You're right.
Yeah.
Any more you want to have a listen to? Radiohead.
Today.
Okay, Computer.
Okay, Computer. Yeah,
which is fair, really. And Nirvana. You were talking about Nirvana earlier before we were filming. It is Nevermind.
Nevermind. It's the baby.
The baby. Yeah, which is a great album.
I think once he grew up, he sued him because he didn't get any money, and I think he didn't sue him because he was emotionally scarred for showing his.
He was,
genitals.
Yeah, that's right. He was, that's exactly it. It's not an album, but New Order, Blue Monday.
Yeah, it had cutouts on the 12-inch cover, didn't it?
Yeah. and yeah, we did craft work. So yeah, that's probably it, isn't it? So
Let
yeah,
me a nice segue then, a nice way to end it. Well, we're
yeah,
kind of talking covers and labels and everything then. So the ASCII and anything, we'll have to get a jingle for ASCII and anything
we do. Yeah, I'm going to let
to
you
figure
write
one
it.
out.
You
We'll
can
have to
write
figure
it.
one out.
Yeah,
We'll just stick it into AI and let it write something stupid.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so similar to, going in and buying stuff off the strength of their cover, right? Which we've
yeah.
all done. You
Oh
see a
yeah.
cover and you go, I'll take a risk, right? Can you give me, was there a record label that you would always be a good bet for you? That if it was out and it was on that label, you'd go and buy it?
My first thought is no, but
My example was Mowax,
yeah,
the Mowax label.
yeah.
So that was, it's getting late and I'm tired. I forget the guy's name who ran Mowax. It'll come back to me. So, early DJ Shadow stuff was on there. A lot of great stuff. Any new 12-inch that dropped from Mowax, I'd just buy it regardless. And they were 9 out of 10 of them were killers. So that was my example of if it was a label, you trusted it. Mute,
I,
would you not have had a
I
similar
always,
affinity with Mute?
I definitely trusted Mute, and I
Yeah.
have lots of. I mean, I've actually even got there's a Mute book about the history of the label, which is quite a chunky book that the boys bought me a few years ago, which is absolutely
Mm.
brilliant. It's full of pictures and all of that sort of stuff, and stories. So Mute, I always trusted. I actually always trusted Island back in the day. Island
Yeah.
Records. I
Yeah.
wouldn't again. I wouldn't have bought everything from them because I would. It was I was always very much the person to. I would either buy, like I did buy a lot of David Bowie from a very early age. So I bought all the early David Bowie albums from his second album, not the first album. And I've lost all those albums, and I had to rebuy them all on CD. I've still got a couple. I've still got The Man Who Sold the World and Pin-Ups.
Okay.
And actually, interestingly, and I think he was on Harvest. So Harvest would have been a record label that I trusted. And the one thing about David Bowie doing pin-ups, which was probably about 76, so I was fairly young. He introduced me to so many other great bands like Small Faces, because I think he did a cover of a Small Faces song on there, and
Mm.
them and some of these sort of 60s bands that I'd never really heard of. But David Bowie did a copy in the mid 70s, and then I would go back and look for those bands, you know.
Nice.
Trogs, I think he did a Trogs cover and people like that, you know. So he introduced me to a lot of 60s music that I wouldn't have normally listened to. So there was
Very good.
probably a
Very
few,
good.
but there's never been an album, a label that I would just buy everything by them, really. But good
It's come
question.
back to me, the Mowax. James Lavelle. That was the guy who ran Mowax.
I know that
Um,
name. I do know the name. Yeah, I think I've read an article with him actually at some point in the past. You know,
Local guy, he started it up. He was quite young. He started the label up.
yeah,
But yeah, that was like I think they used to drop every Thursday a new 12-inch, and I'd
yeah,
just be there in the record shop straight away.
yeah. I
Those are the days.
would buy factory records. I mean, I bought some. I mean, and some of that is really patchy stuff. I mean, I remember buying Adventure Babies, which were on factory, and it wasn't a great album, you
Not
know.
bad.
So some of the factory stuff was a little bit, you know. And if I'm looking through sort of second hand, shops now, or if there's a record fair and I see a factory record and it's not too expensive, I might end up buying it. No, even though I might not, I
Mm.
never heard crispy. Was it crispy ambulances? Some of these
Yeah, I
weird.
remember that name. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah, yeah.
remember the name, but I never really listened to them. I've not actually listened to that Jurati column album, which apparently is really, really good. It's quite ambient. So I should have a listen to that. And I tell you what, I'd love to have a copy of the Sandpaper cover, you know. But that's a good question, Jason. Well done, matey.
Well, it was a good episode. 3 parts. I think it
Yeah,
was a good
brilliant.
topic. We
Yeah,
need to figure out a topic for the next one.
we do.
I
We'll
do
have a
like the idea of good film sequels. There's no such thing as a film sequel.
I-
We could maybe pivot away from music for a little bit and
that's a
let's
good
do
idea.
something filmic. Let's
Let's
come
do
up with a
that.
topic and we'll do
Yeah,
films.
yeah, yeah. Let's both pick 5 film topics for the next one. They've got to be
let's do something on
sequels.
films.
They've got to be
Yeah,
sequels.
I mean, there's plenty of them, right?
Yeah, and they
you
can
know,
be good or bad. They don't have to be. They don't have to be great sequels.
yeah.
But you've
Police
obviously-
Academy. There's loads of them, right?
Yeah,
Just
there is.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So let's think. Let's have a chat about what the topic might be for the next
Okay.
one. I think it works virtually. I think this,
It does.
we
It's
can make
fine.
this work.
Yeah.
We might have to
And
do
well
more
done
of
with
this.
your
So.
well done with your background. I mean, out here am I showing real physical media, but
It should cut down on time for editing with a bit of luck.
it will. It'll help. Yeah.
All
Okay. I'll see you next week.
Yep,
See you
good
later.
stuff.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.